Yep, another week. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's up, old man?
I'm doing wonderful as always on this nice overcast day.
Yeah, yeah. I'm surprised. I'm surprised. You're not in a world of hurt. When the weather starts getting bad.
No. Cowboys won. I'm good to go.
I mean, your
Good to go.
Cowboys didn't really play anybody, special this week. So anyway, but that's something for another time. But
That's right.
with a prominent movie coming out, i.e., Black Panther, we decided to take a little. Well, it's not really a detour, but go into the venue of entertainment and uh, and talk about how women are viewed in film. Well, viewed by us in film, I guess, would be the overall theme of it. Um, and to be honest with you, it doesn't really matter to me as far as women being a strong lead to open up the conversation. I could care less if they're the lead, not the lead. I just want the movie to be good. You know what I mean? Like that's my overarching thing. Like if the movie's trash, then I'm just like I just wasted my time to go watch the
That's
movie
right.
to go watch this movie that I could have did other things with my 2.5 to 3 hours. So as far as me like to see them, I mean, if they're a good actress, then there's no issue. Or they're coming. I mean, I understand some people are coming up, some actresses coming up, so they might not be as fine tuned as a lot of the other people that I'm used to seeing would be. But that's just how I'm looking at it right now. So there's really no which way or the other. Like I just want the movie to be good, and I want if it's a movie that I know, I want it to be portrayed right, and I want it to be good.
No, I agree with that. But you know what I'm concerned with is yes, if the woman takes the lead, I really it really doesn't matter. Um my concern is when they take the form of a masculine type person in a lead where you know, especially in action movies where this small female couldn't beat this big muscle dude, guy. it's
Right.
it's just it's outweighed. But no, other than that, no, I have no sense of thinking that a woman couldn't take the lead in a movie. Absolutely not.
I mean, I hear what you're saying on that. I think that's more of the practical thing because you see it all the time with especially with the whole comic book era movies that are coming out, and a lot of the women leads are super powered beings and stuff like that. So it's kind of like
Right.
when you see it, you just got to turn your mind off and not really think about it because that's what it's there for. It's there for entertainment, to provide that entertainment for you when you go there. Even, I mean, don't get me wrong, there will be some times when things don't add up, like especially if it's a book adaptation or something that's adapted into a movie and they're not doing the source material correct, then you might have a problem there. But I mean, there's no, I can hear what you're saying as far as
Right. Right.
the whole masculine thing, but I guess the continuing on is just uh, for whatever I'm trying to think of how I want to word this because the only person that I know that was seen as like a sex symbol in the like the film industry was it Marilyn Manson, what's her name,
Marilyn Monroe.
Monroe. There you go.
Right.
Marilyn
Marilyn
Monroe.
Monroe.
That's like the only person that I know that was like looked at as someone to look up to by a lot of women, like when they were coming up in a way. Like that was when I hear like interviews like, oh yeah, like I looked up to her, she was like a sex symbol for women and everything like that. And I don't really
I
know if
think
that's.
Holly Berry.
Oh yeah, Halle Berry. That's
That's
another
very
one.
that.
I forgot. But
Uh,
because I mean, I guess because she has that iconic scene, I think everybody just knows it from here. And Halle Berry's just been quiet for so long, like she really
that's right.
hasn't
That's right.
done a
That's
whole
right.
lot. But yeah, I don't really
But Marilyn Monroe has been dead for a long time.
But they keep replaying that same scene though. It's like
Right, right. That's true. That's true.
they keep replaying the same scene, so it's not like it's gonna go away or anything like that. Because they adapt it in other things, you know, in other
That's
movies or cartoons or
relaying it to the president, the former president
right,
Kennedy as well. So those things factor in. But the sex symbol thing was when I was growing up. That's mainly the roles they played
right,
as a symbol. Which I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that, but I know they're bigger than that. I know they're much more than that than just being a sex symbol. You
right,
know, they are, and you should have movies that show their intelligence, things like that, not just their body and a pretty face.
mhm,
I'm glad that the movie industry has evolved and went past that, and now focusing in. Now I'm thinking they might be getting a little too extreme with it.
right,
Now it's never that they never get. Things can never fall in that happy medium where it's realistic and it's appropriate. It's either going to be one way or the other,
right.
and it's really sad, but it should be midstream, down the middle, and make it realistic.
Right. And I don't know per se if it's especially detrimental in this age. Maybe back then it probably
Mhm.
was a little bit more, but now depending on how you use it, because with great power comes great responsibility, right? So if you get that power as seen as a sex symbol and you don't use it right, then it's kind of on you. Because I mean, you can use that power to do other things or open other doorways for people that are behind you, or to open up other, like creating your own industry, whatever you want to do. So I don't really see it as being detrimental because you have access to all those tools now compared to how it was back then, where people would just see you on the big screen and that's it. Because now you can interact with people on social media, you can branch off and do your own branding and whatever. There's a lot of avenues to expand upon that.
I mean, you got a situation where practically someone has profited off of a video, inappropriate video,
Right,
and now they're billionaires,
right,
you know, based on social media. And
right.
the fact that, how people react and how so they could be considered sex symbols. I mean, obviously
Yeah,
it's considered something because the market has shifted in their favor where they are profiting greatly from it.
absolutely. Absolutely. And like, for those of you that might not know, he's talking about Kim Kardashian. So, I mean, that's probably been the status quo for like what, the past 20 years, something like that. Uh,
Yeah.
Something for a long time. I think she's been seen as like the standard for beauty for a lot of people. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And you see people having surgeries trying to
mm,
mimic,
right.
that. So
But
sad, but true.
yeah,
Just
100%.
right.
100%. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand there may be times when you need to do it or whatever. If you want to do it, I mean that's up to you. It's totally your choice if you want to do it, but just be mindful of the impact it might have on the person that you're trying to be with, or whatever the case may be. But that's neither.
Whatever you go under the knife is undetermined. It's
Right.
undetermined. I mean, you go under, are you going to wake up? I mean, is it worth it? You have to weigh it. You have to weigh the options. You have to look at everything. Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Or just a little exercise, a little exercise.
You take the shortcut, or you actually do put in the work. That's how it is in a lot of things in life. Um, but I guess circling back to well, we're kind of really not off topic, but we're still we're not
Yeah,
really off
no, we
topic.
are on top.
Uh,
We are on topic.
but talking about so, talking about women being smart in movies, and I think a majority of the movies I've seen, the women are the more logical compared to like I mean, don't get me wrong, I like comedy movies and stuff like that, but there's been a lot of movies where I've watched where the woman's the more logical person in the movie, and the dude's just like, I'm gonna go blow this, I'm gonna go blow this stuff up or whatever, X, Y, and Z. He's like, no, you need to think about this or whatever the case may be. So no, I guess that's more common sense. I guess you could put that in the smart category, but no, it doesn't. It wouldn't offend me. Like if there was a smart female lead. I mean, they have no, she was an attorney. But I guess no, an attorney has to have the credentials. I haven't really seen it yet, but that new Hulk movie, the
I
new
never seen that series that
yeah, yeah,
female.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean that's the most recent thing that's came out where I would consider somebody in
she's
that role
always
to
green, right? She's
yeah,
always green,
yeah,
so she's always angry.
but
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Hulk only turns when he gets angry. So I'm just
right. But yeah, I mean, but she's an attorney, so it's like when you look at an attorney, normally they have to be relatively smart to do what they do. So I think that's the best example I can look at, and I'm like, no, that doesn't offend me or make me feel some kind of way. I'm like, cool, you know. I'm just, I guess it's just because what I'm used to, because all this stuff was out when I was growing up, so it's nothing really new to me. Maybe for somebody in your generation or the generation before you, they might be taken aback a little bit with all the changes that are happening, but
yeah.
for us, it's just status quo, just another day.
Yes, the changes are good. I and the thing what is different and what is good to see is um people of other groups are taking leads, not just one particular group. And it is you can't you it's hard to relate when you don't see someone that looks like you in those roles.
Right.
And I understand that, but you got to understand, if you don't own anything, if you don't um own the networks or anything like that, you're not going to be put in those positions. And and to take on a role that is going to be the brains or the main character, it's going to be very hard. It's going to be very hard as a female of any other ethnic group or various ethnic groups to take on that role, because the people who own the industry, and not in a bad way, which makes sense, they can relate to that, their own. That's what's going to be there.
True.
I mean, but now we have um black on, and I'm just going to call it black on, producers and movie makers, and they still not giving that major role with the content that it should have. It's more of the stereotypical things that we played before.
Mhm. Would you like
And,
to?
and
Would you like to elaborate on that, or because I mean, I was thinking of, well, I mean, the more prominent movies
it's
as
more it's just like, when we make movies, and like majority black movies,
mm,
they still have that stereotypical vibe to it,
okay,
instead of having the vibe that it should have or could have. You know, why couldn't that female be the executive? Why can't that female be it's things that we can do instead of having that attitude, the ghetto side
Okay.
of things instead of and have it in a professional setting because there's a lot of professionals, you know, African American, Hispanics, all over, and why does include? But why do our roles have, and even with black producers and you know, I mean producers and executives keep put that same role, that mentality in their productions.
Mm.
Let's change it up.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. However, the only thing I could say to that is just that there hasn't been a real like ghetto movie that I can remember that's come out. The only ghetto movies that I can think of are like the comedy ones, and I'm like,
Funny.
those those are the ones that are, those were came out when that whole wave hit with like the Wayans brothers and all that whole group with the like In Living Color and everything like that whole era, and then that kind of just phased out. Now you don't really see that anymore with the movies that are coming out now. They're more, not really horror, but I mean they're starting to get
How
their
do women play in that role
in which role?
in those movies you're talking about, the ones you see now?
The ones I
What- Do,
see now, I mean, it- I'm sorry.
do the women take the lead in
Yeah, I
those?
mean, you have Black Panther that's coming out, I think, in like a week, 2 weeks, or something like that.
No,
That
no, I'm talking about. You said comic. You said the comic,
mhm.
the funny,
Oh, the
or
comedy movies. Uh,
yes.
I haven't, like I said, I haven't seen. There hasn't been a ghetto comedy movie like Don't Be a Menace or anything like that for a long time. Like all the comedy movies that I've seen now have been like the slapstick comedy. The women weren't really portrayed as ghetto, but then again, there hasn't really been a comedy movie that I've seen since then that has portrayed people like us in it, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like, it's kind of hard to gauge that, or you can't. Well, it's not really gauging, but you just don't see it anymore because a lot of the comedy probably wouldn't be appropriate now that it was, you know,
Right.
10, 15 years ago. So
That's
it's kind of difficult to speak on that ghetto, that the ghetto, being ghetto in the movie and things like that, because it's not really seen anymore. Like a lot of the stuff that people are in are in more serious roles, like
I'm
or
glad to see that.
because I can literally think of, I think, like four off the top of my head where they weren't the lead. Well, maybe I guess you could consider them. I don't know how it's phrased as far as the movies and stuff like that, but the bigger they are, the harder they fall. I don't know if you've seen that. That's a western. That's a black western on Netflix. Of course, you have Black Panther that's coming out I think in a few weeks or next week or something like that. That one, that's just us written
But
all over.
That's a
Yeah,
female.
it's a female lead. It's a female lead. Then I think, well,
That
part of the
woman
reason why
Woman King. It wasn't that one is the Woman King.
Woman King, I think so. Oh, you talking about the one where they were like they were going back to Africa or something? Not back to
Right,
Africa,
right,
but
right.
I know what you're talking about.
It
It
was
was like an
that-
African setting. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I think that one was one.
yeah.
Um, and then a lot of I hope I get it. Jordan Peele's movies, like
Okay.
This Is Us, stuff like it's a lot of black casting. So I
Right.
don't really know if you would put the females as the females in there aren't portrayed as like ghetto or anything like that. They're like a strong strong 1B to the main character, or they are, they're working cohesively with the main
That's right.
character to do something. Or they're just the the main focus, and there's other stuff going on to tie it into something else. So I haven't really seen a whole lot of those ghetto movies, or maybe I'm just missing it. But
Well,
it's
you know what? By you mentioning that, I probably, I don't watch as much TV as I used to.
mhm.
Um, I think you're probably right. I don't really see that. Um, I remember seeing, and I don't know if this is true now. Maybe you can correct me. Uh, like you have a movie, majority one, and then there's just one black person. Then that, especially like a scary movie, you
Right.
got one black person and they die first.
Well, that's becoming more meta now. They're starting to make fun of that. It's funny
Yeah.
that you
They're the
mentioned that.
first one to die.
Yeah.
It's things like that that it it shows a mindset or era that needs to evolve. And it could be a woman, all women going out to a campground, and all the girls are there, and the black the black girl's gonna die first. You
Hmm.
you you wait for it. You
Right.
just you just know if she's not first, she's second.
Right.
Black guy goes out there, he's gonna die. He's gonna be first, second. But um, what I feel is once you get to a point where you got black directors, black movie, owners, you create movies, you need to change that. You need to change that.
Right.
You need to change that persona where because me personally, and I'm just being realistic in real life, that black person would probably be the only one that's gonna make it out because they're gonna either run, they're gonna
Yeah.
be like, oh, we're
Eh,
not going in that building,
eh,
we're not, I'm out of here. I'm just saying in real life, I would bank on that person, the one they kill off first, to make it out because of the mindset.
right.
I
And we all know that as a collective. We all know we would be, we don't want to say it, but we all know we'll be the first one to make it out of any type of scary movie or anything like that. And
right.
that's becoming more of a meta thing now. I've seen a lot of like jokes around it. Like there's like you can't put the black person in the film because they're in the movie within 30 seconds. Be like, oh, the kid like killer's knocking the door. Nope, movies knocking on the door. They're gone. Movie's already over. So it's becoming more of a meta joke now. And so
Okay.
you're not
I
really,
didn't know that. I didn't know
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about it. It's just like the movie be over in 30 seconds if you had a
Somebody's
black
knocking
person.
at the door. I'm going to open that door. No, no, no. I'm
Right.
not expecting anyone. I'm out.
Right. And the movie be over. Roll credits. That's it.
That's right.
So
So yeah.
but that's yeah, that's just how it is. Like I said, I think a lot of it is starting to change. I mean, it has been changing, and we're getting a lot more. It's not just us either. It just a lot of ethnicities are getting more recognition,
Absolutely. And it's
for
great. And it's great to see.
what's going on. And I think I want to say I'm sure there's probably been other movies that have done it, but I feel like Marvel's been the one that's been pushing it the most as
Mhm.
far as the company as a whole because you have so many characters from different backgrounds with a lot of story and a lot of you can draw off of to incorporate those other ethnicities that are usually left out from the past where you just had the Batmans, the Supermans, Spider-Man and things like
That's right.
that. You don't see a lot of other ethnicities. But now, like I said, you had the Luke Cage TV series that came out. Of course, Black Panther. That was the one that just blew the door open for a lot. You had Shang-Chi. Um, what else? Namor is another person that he's appearing in a movie, but he's probably gonna get his own little thing. And of course, you have the little series that are coming out as well. So it's a lot that has been going on with that.
I'm gonna throw a question out to you. And this is why I'm agreeing with you with the women taking the lead.
Mm,
Let's say all those movies,
okay.
all the ones you called out, women took the lead.
Where the women took the lead.
Yeah, no, where they are the lead character.
Mhm,
Cage, they're Spider-Man. They're the Spider-Man. They're just, you know, the superhero.
mhm,
It was all women, no men.
mhm. What about it? What's the question?
Would it look different?
I mean, of course it's going to look different. The obvious thing is going to look different because that's not the person you're used to seeing. However, the people that know the comics or whatever the case may be won't have an issue with it because it's already been done. You know, they had the all female group up and everything like that. So it's not going to look unfamiliar to somebody who knows the source material. However,
Right.
somebody who doesn't may be like, oh, that's not the person I'm used to seeing. Where is, such and such and such and such or whatever. So it's gonna be two different outtakes according to who you present it to.
That's right.
Uh so that's kind of, for me, it's not really going to matter to me because like I said, if they're in there, then that's cool. Like another one that I remember recently was the Old Guard with Charlize Theron,
Mhm.
where she
Yeah.
was the lead, and they were immortal or something like that. You've seen the movie,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And then they're bringing up, they found another young black actress, and she's supposed to be in the next one. And I'm just like, the way they incorporated it was really well done. The fact that it's just like their immortality runs out at a certain point, and they got to get ready for the next group and stuff like that. So I thought it was really good. Where the Netflix is also doing a lot of work with these movies as well. Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's
they,
right. That's right.
they're incorporating a lot of people for their documentaries, movies, whatever they're coming out with.
Now, with female empowerment,
Okay.
how do you see that? Do you think that's being portrayed in these movies? The fact that it's transitioning this way, or do you see something else?
I mean, I feel like it is, but I feel like it's being portrayed relatively well. However, there has to be, if you want it to have more of an impact, it has to be something original. You know what I mean? Like if it's not something original, then it's not going to feel as impactful because it's already been done before. Like the reason why Black Panther was so successful is because it was a movie that was for us for us by us, like FUBU, like the clothing brand.
Right, 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 right,
um, so if you don't have an original, I'm not gonna say if you don't, it wouldn't, it's not gonna have any impact because it still will. But I feel like it would have more of an impact if it's something original compared to going off a source material and then trying to make it what it really wasn't. If that makes sense, like
that's right.
trying to spin a comic book that specifically is like, hey, this person doesn't do X because of this reason, then you spin it, and it's like people are gonna be like, that doesn't make any sense. So
Right.
that's how I look at it as far as that empowerment. But there's a lot of empowerment outside of the film industry already, with the access to social media and everything like that. So there really, I wouldn't say there isn't more that can be done because there's always going to be room for more growth and improvement. But
Right.
I think, like I said, I think if it's not something original, then it doesn't. I feel like it won't have as much of an impact compared to you trying to take source material, something that's already been done, like from a book or something like that,
Okay.
and then adapting it to a movie or TV show because it's not going to feel the same. Especially because a lot of times they don't take everything verbatim. They like to they do the nuance, take something and then run with it. But it's like it doesn't make sense because this isn't how it went in the
Does it
book.
tie?
Yeah,
Right.
this wasn't how it was done in the book, or whatever the case may be. Um, so that's just how I look at it. I mean, I'm not. I think the only other one that I can think of, and I'm sorry, but I would never watch this unless it was like with my significant other. Is what that Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants? You remember that movie? That you never
No,
heard of it? I remember when that movie came out,
Early.
it was like gangbusters. You couldn't you couldn't. I think that was what I want to say that was high school when that movie came out. But when it dropped,
Never
everybody,
heard.
every every woman that I talked to,
Mhm.
like, just was, oh, it's the greatest movie. And I was just like, no, no, I don't want to watch it. I'm not going to watch it. It's like one of those. And I think there was another one that I can't, there was like two of them that came out that were like really, really talked about to like to an nth degree. And I know Sisterhood of Traveling Pants was one.
Never heard it, but I'll make sure I look it up and make sure I watch it.
And then I can't remember the other one.
I'm
But it,
surprised you know about
I mean, it's just, it was ingrained when you hear about it every day, for a year straight. It's going to be
Right,
ingrained in the back
right.
of your head.
That's right.
So
But
this,
no, no. My concern with empowerment is I believe that women should be empowered,
mhm,
but not to the extent that they don't need a man.
okay,
And that's my concern. It gets to a point, and see, and that's the whole take on everything we do. It's everything we do to try to make things right. It's always extremes. It's
right,
always extremes, and we need to stop doing the extremes. Just make it right. Just do it correct.
right,
Like you said, follow the book. Don't try to create a new script. Just take the script that's given, the original, and just work with that. But it's just that extremes is either extreme one way or extreme the other. Let's stay in the middle. Let's stay in the middle, and that's my concern with empowerment.
mhm,
Um, yes, you could give the roles of empowerment to females, absolutely, because they are very strong in in their role,
right,
but don't make them so strong that they don't need a man.
mm,
And don't make a man to a point where he doesn't need a woman. It's a balance. It has to be a balance,
right,
and that's what I think is missing. Where they don't keep it balanced. They want to appeal to one side because that's what's going on at the moment. And I see that with the movies now. You're seeing, black and other ethnic groups taking lead roles than before because it's it's a shift. But let's do the shift correctly and maintain it, not do the
mm,
shift and then next week it goes back to another direction. Let's be consistent. Let everybody play their role, realistic. Okay, and you don't have to worry about all that shift in this and empowerment and all. Everybody's playing their role.
right. And that reminds me, I think it's I'm going back, circling back to the beginning because
Right.
this was a big thing when I'm a big like movie, I guess not really TV, but like movies. I know all the outside culture stuff that wouldn't be accepted back in the day as it is now. Basically, nerd culture. Like I know a lot about that stuff, so I can put my 2 cents in on a lot of things that I see. And this goes back to Star Wars. I don't know if you were a big Star Wars guy, but
Yes, I've been a big Star
remember
Wars.
when they started doing? I want to say it was the. I want to say it's the Mandalorian.
fan.
I forgot who it was, but the young lady who was supposed to play Yosoka, the other Jedi who was under Vader or Anakin, however you want to call him, how people were
Right,
upset about that. They
right.
were upset about the actress, but I was like, what does it matter? What does it matter? Did she do the role right? Oh yeah,
All right.
okay. Then
Right. Right.
what's the issue here? And I may be paraphrasing as far as
But
what
I
actually happened,
definitely agree.
but
But the point is being made. Yeah,
right.
I get what you and you know, I heard something. This was brought to my attention because I didn't even know it.
Mhm.
Uh, the Little Mermaid.
Right.
Mermaid, you know, is going to be, you know, African American.
I forgot about yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Or it was going to be, you know, people got upset about that. You know, I, I don't know why,
I
but
mean, you can always go
that
watch
was
the original. You can always go watch the original Disney movie. Nobody's stopping you from going to going to watch the old VHS tapes or the
right.
other. I'm sure there was another Little Mermaid adaptation that came out between the video and what's going on now, live action or something like that. But you can go find it online, go watch it there. It's like I understand. I understand you may be upset because it's not what you used to, but you gotta let some other people. If they want to do a variant, then what is it like? They're not changing the whole origin story of
That's right.
of Ariel or anything like that. They're just changing the skin color of the character. So pump your
Right.
brakes, relax. Like it's not that serious.
Yeah, and the thing about it, it runs so deep that the fact that so for me, I just looked at it like deeper than just the you know face value that just like you're saying, the character's still the same role, same thing, and it's a cartoon,
Right.
you know, but it's okay for another group to see it one way, but it's not okay for another group to see it this way. And what I'm saying, that's weird to me.
Hmm.
What nothing's changed.
Right.
You know,
But
every ethnic group saw that the mermaid
mhm.
from the the beginning to the end
Mhm.
until the change.
Right. Well, I mean, look at it this way. Did anybody have a problem with the live
That's
action
right. That's what I'm
with
saying.
the live
So
action Aladdin when Will Smith was playing the genie, even though he was voice acted by did anybody else have a problem with that? I didn't hear anything. I heard crickets.
right.
So
That's
what's the problem? What's the problem with this? Like, if you're gonna
yeah.
keep it consistent, if you're gonna have an issue with it, that's all I'm saying.
That's right. Yeah. Let's be consistent, and 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 then you have to look inside yourself. If it bothers you, why?
Right.
Then maybe some things need to be looked at. But because I never had a problem with whoever came out.
Right. I'm like,
Why?
I look at it. I'm like, this is for the new generation of kids. That's how I look at the stuff that's coming
That's
out now. I was like, it's for the new generation of kids. Why do I care? As as an adult male that's already had my generational stuff, like yes, I've seen Little Mermaid and all that stuff when I grew up, but that was when I was a kid. So
that's
let the kids that are coming up after us watch whatever they want to watch,
they can
as long
watch
as
the ones before and the new ones.
right. It's like they gotta it's a cycle. They do the stuff for the next generation. It's a
That's
big
right.
circle. Like you'll see something that's remade from something that was made back 10 years ago, remade for the next group of kids or whatever. But excuse me. But to go back to what we were talking about as far as women in the film industry before we got a little sidetracked. I don't really think there really is a need to level the playing field per se, because in my opinion they have all the power to begin with, as far as media, like social media, everything like that. Like you
Oh,
guys have all the power. Like I'm not, it's how you use the power that determines what comes of it. So I don't think there's no, I don't think there's anything that should be. if anything, it should be leveled to back towards an actual level playing field. But you guys have all the power. You have ways to make money off of what you do or whatever professions you want to pursue, or online or whatever the case may be. Like you have that power over a lot of people. Be, well, especially with everything that was going on the past couple of years. People getting divorced and stuff like that, not being able to interact. So you have those power over people that may be single and um, not having anyone to talk to or whatever the case may be. And outside of that, you're pushing your clothing lines, your whatever you may be drinking, your
Makeup,
makeup.
makeup, hairstyle,
Yeah,
hair.
hey, you got all the juice. You got the juice, as they say. So there isn't really anything that needs to be level. I think it should just go more so on how you use it, how you use that power that you have. Uh, But that's just me. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Um, but it's a lot of people doing it. There's a lot of well, they have a lot of competition.
Mhm.
Um, and in the process with that competition is everyone trying to outdo the other.
Right.
So it gets a little ugly. It can get ugly.
Mhm.
And with that being said, then that's why the professionalism and things go outside that, and then it gets messy. Yeah, and that's where all the turmoil, and then you get threats, and then it gets unprofessional.
Right.
Um, I think the male side of it, if you get your niche, you and I'm just this is focusing on the women. The male side, like you said, it's not as lucrative as the female side because we're limited. You know, um, we had one guy who passed away. He was hated and he was loved. You know, on social media. But he made it work. He made it work. It's not too many people like that. You male on the male side. So women definitely have the empowerment in when it comes to social media and what mm, but it's funny. And I'm just going to put a quick spin to this. It's funny that they don't want to be used as sexual, like,
Mm.
but they use it to build their business.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So it's only good unless they're doing it and not somebody else doing it to them.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's been the ongoing discussion for me and a lot of people. Um, when we talk about things like this, not that it's an always reoccurring topic, but it's just like we always come to that same the same equation. It's just like
In the road, fork in the road. Yeah, that's right.
like okay, but like I said, it goes back to what you do with it. I mean,
Right.
if you got the juice and you want to use it for evil, then you can't sit there and complain when there's mayhem and chaos around you. Like, hey, you kind of did it to yourself. So, but this one, I want to hear your answer on this because
Yeah.
as a grandfather, as you like to tout around a whole lot and everything like
Oh
that.
yeah. The no. Yeah, the no. Yeah,
What, what's
go ahead.
the what's the cartoon? What's a cartoon that you can think of that you would like your grandchild or grandchildren to see that has like diversity and roles that are equatable to everything like that?
Crickets. No, I really don't have one that I can honestly say.
Hmm.
Um, when I was growing up, it was nothing geared in that way.
Right.
And I don't get involved in too many. I might do the Marvel things here and
Right.
there, but I well, maybe this Black Panther movie, I might say, or the the Woman King.
Mm.
If I hadn't seen the movie, but maybe that might be something I might gear, gear my grandkids to. But and in real life, you get the iconic names, you know, but I really don't have anything to attach to. I really, and it's kind of sad, but I
Mm.
don't. You probably know more things, diverse things
I mean,
compared to me.
I would just sit them down and have them. Well, first I would, when they're old enough, I would have them watch Star Wars because that teaches you a lot about, politics and people.
Course.
Well, not even, I'm not even looking at the force. I'm looking at the back end of everything. Like you can look at all the animated shows and everything like that. Like the actual animated shows that'll show you, the people from different backgrounds. How to be accepting of others, what to do and what not to do. They teach you a lot of basic human show, basic human interactions that you should have to be a decent human being when you grow up. I would have them watch that.
Our, that's our job. That's not TV's job.
I'm
That's
I'm
our
just
job.
saying, but what do diversity
Yeah.
roles that are quick? I'm
Right.
looking at it like that. I understand it's a parent's job to also include that, but I'm saying if there was cartoons that I would have
Oh,
them
yeah,
watch,
that's true.
hey, that's gonna be a staple. They're gonna watch Star Wars because that's going to get their imagination running. You want your kids to be imaginative and stuff like that. So that's going to they're not going to sit there and look at somebody some kind of way just because they may potentially be different or something. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, if they see somebody with a disability, they're going to ask, and they might not know to be nuanced about asking somebody about their disabilities because kids are pretty much straightforward. They just tell it like it is. Um,
Which I think is a great trait.
right.
Yeah,
I find it
I,
hilarious from from a
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
times when the kids
I
are
do.
just
But one thing I do notice is that the people who were, like you said, disability, and a kid ask, they're not offended. The person who being asked the question
right,
is the parent, is the adult.
right,
The people around that are fit, like, oh, don't you can't do that. You know, no, the person who's dealing with it and interacting with that person has no issue with it,
right,
responding or even telling them what happened, to you know at their level. Would tell somebody got my legs got blown off with shrapnel. You're not going to tell a kid that, but you say,
right,
I was out and something happened. A step, but what I'm saying is, as we get older, we get overly sensitive to things, and the kids are desensitized. They don't have a filter. They're gonna ask direct questions without anything, no ill intent.
right.
Just asking direct questions.
So yeah, and that, like I said, I think that Star Wars would be a staple, and then
What else?
honestly, I'd have them look at. Oh, Lord of the Rings is another one that the yeah, Lord of the Rings. I'd have them watch the show. I'm just trying to have them be aware. If I have kids, I would have them be aware of their surrounding and what's going on, and that teaches you a lot of these shows teach you about being aware of your surroundings, how to interact with people. Um, but a lot of it is also using your imagination, being creative, so that way you're not feeling like everything's being just forced on you. Like be creative, be a kid. Don't feel like you're tied down to today's society. Like I feel like a lot of A
Really,
lot
those
of kids.
movies do like that? Really?
Mhm.
Never do.
Like
Never knew.
there's lore. I want to say I don't want to get it. I probably got them confused, but I'm pretty sure in the series that's on Amazon, there is a culture that is introduced that is our skin color basically. That's in the movie, and from what I remember, they go through a lot of trials and tribulations. Um, so that's why I would, that's why I would have them watch that. Uh,
Mhm.
like have
Is
them
this
watch everything.
animated? Is this real or
Mm-mm. This
animated?
is on Amazon. This is the Amazon show. Um, I'd have that. Of course, I'd let them watch little kid movies, but I don't want them to get like I don't want them to get brainwashed by letting them think everything that goes
Yeah,
up.
everything's gonna work out in the end.
Exactly. I don't want them to be brainwashed, but they say I think it was that, and of course, the little some of the little Marvel stuff, depending on what it is, like
What about
the
Old Yeller?
oh no, we all know how Old Yeller ends, man. Like, like all of us know how Old Yeller ends. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to see that.
Oh man. But yeah, I'm just asking because I watched it.
And I'm sure you were just down in the dumps, like when the minute you found out little Timmy wasn't at the well
I
anymore.
don't see why people cried. I don't.
little Timmy wasn't at the well anymore. I can tell you that much.
Um, what about so you mentioned Black Panther and things like that. Would that be
Yes.
yes?
Yes. I mean, I would want my children to be understanding of what culture they came from or whatever the case may be, whether they're African American, mixed, whatever the case, whatever they are, I want them to have an inkling of their culture. So like watching movies that, people are representing them so that way, that they know as they get older that is always a possibility that they can pretty much do whatever they want to do, you
That's right.
know. Uh
And you make a very valid point. And, and I just hope people understand that it's it's a program and what you see and what you take in, you you have it like you said, your imagination. I can see myself there. I can put myself in that position. When you don't see yourself there, you can still do that,
mhm,
but it's nice to see that somebody's there that looks like you once in a while.
right.
You don't have to be all the time,
Right.
but once in a while, yes.
Right. And I guess well no, I probably wouldn't. Yeah, I mean those are probably like the big 3 I would have them look at, maybe a couple other cartoons here and there, but I would more so interested in seeing what they want to do instead of just forcing like all the stuff that I know on them. Like I would want to see what they're interested in first. But if they were interested in watching those things, then those would be what I would go to. But starting out, I would see it was like, hey, what are you interested in? What do you like to do? Like, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna ask them that, but in my mind, I'm thinking,
But you realize the importance of it.
right,
It's because what you see visualization plays a big part in how you know do things and how you see yourself. And I think that's why I was geared one way for a long time because of that.
right. And I
But
mean, the,
as people grow and mature, they realize that it doesn't have to be one way and you still can grow.
right. And I think there'll probably be some stuff from your era that I may throw in there, like the old what was it? What was the movie with
Go
I'm
ahead,
sure
just I mean,
What what was the
tell me
what was the movie The Color Purple? There you go. That one. That's
okay.
one I know that's like a staple in the black community. It's just like you see it at least once, or
Mhm.
it's talked about at some point. Um, I think that's one, and then yeah, I think that's probably be the only one. It's just kind of like don't forget where you came from, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. But why is it always there?
I mean,
It's
it's always there
but
because it's always going to be talked about, school,
right.
whatever the case may be. So it's part of the heritage.
Yeah, I'm saying it's always there,
Hmm.
but it has been a transition from there.
Right,
Let's start talking from here to there,
right.
where we are 2022.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but I don't want them to get caught off guard if
No,
somebody looks at them some kind of way or says something to them. He
oh,
caught.
absolutely.
No, 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 no. Don't forget. Don't forget. This is where we were at not too long
And,
ago.
and be proud of it
Right. So, but that's
because
just
look where you're at now.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah, so
But so I guess this would be we'll serve it back to you. What iconic what iconic women would you want your grandchildren to model? Well, here we go. Here we go. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. We're gonna be here for a minute.
would and I'm just mm, I'll let you answer first. I just I got a list and iconic, like Michelle Obama, how she
Mm,
carried herself, and
hmm.
first lady. I mean, that's iconic, and that's now, that's
Right,
here. That's something that kids could probably meet someday. You know,
right,
uh, I'm gonna leave it there with her because she's here, she's now. It's a possibility that somebody watching this podcast can meet her and talk to her and see what she's about.
right.
So,
So you said Michelle Obama. I'm gonna take it to a background that I'm from, which is athletics. I'm gonna say Lisa
mhm,
Leslie. The
Lisa,
Yeah, I'm gonna go there. That's one that I would enjoy picking her brain to see, her mindset, how she went about it, business and everything like that. Because I know she was a her or the Serena the twins, but either
twin.
yeah the twins. I mean they're like they're the ones that I'm just like they set the status quo for how you should be as a professional athlete. I mean, of course, you have the male, so
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna say that. But as
it's
far as
over.
being a female athlete, they have set the precedence for how to do that. It's for people for our color. Now, don't get me wrong. There's other people that do it as well that are female athletes, but I'm saying specifically for us, they are
Yeah,
they're the ones that I'm like that I think of. I'm like, okay, those are the big three essentially that
yeah.
I would
You
want
know,
them to model.
the thing is, and I just want to make this disclaimer. This is about talking to people, our people in a sense where we need to relate to each other. We need to understand. I I can't talk from another perspective. I got to talk from the uniform I'm wearing.
Right.
I could only assume based on information, facts, things I see out there on any other group or any other thing. We're trying to, for the betterment of our community, and getting to a point where we got true understanding, we got a true understanding of each other to build a better world. and it's not just here in the United States; it's worldwide. But when we and I just want to make that disclaimer. But the point you're making with the sports and the influence
Mhm.
that you no those I'll be curious if you ever meet them. I want to get I want to know the feedback too. I want to know the feedback because yeah, like you said, man, no, go ahead, Fish. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, no.
yeah,
I mean, those are like I said, those are the big three that when I
yeah,
was growing up that I knew, and I was just like, okay. And then this bullet point happened to come up, and I was like, oh, so I can just relate that back to just like so. Those are the ones that I would immediately. It's like, okay, those are the three. I was just like, I would love to have just to sit down and just talk to them, just be like,
yeah,
so what was your mindset when you went through, you know, X, Y, and Z throughout your career and everything like that, just to see where they were at mentally, because I know there's a lot that goes into being an athlete, but
right.
playing at that level is just it's just a tier above. That's the 1%. Like the NFL, that's the 1% where you're playing the best of the best, essentially on a weekly or monthly basis.
Yeah, and I was just wondering how you, yeah, them included, like with Michelle be like, you know how strong you are, you know who you are, but you knew your role. How was it to play that role? How was it to be? You're not in the forefront 100%, of the time, and things, and your husband is at this level, but how does that work? How did you wear those hats? When you could have been in the forefront, you could have been up there, but you wore the hats that you needed, and you ended up in the White House for 8 years.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah.
I mean,
There's
that's
just
that's awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
I mean,
There's nothing else really to
and
be said about that.
that's right. And you walked out of there with your head up, and I'm just curious. I can't wait. I will meet her someday and ask her those questions.
Well, I'm looking forward to your response. No, well, but knowing you, you might not. The security might stop you before you even get there. But
Oh, yeah, you're right. Nah, nah, they're gonna let me come on in. Mom be like, "Come on in, Jamal." President, come on in.
I'm sure. And what the is this doing here?
Just to know and to think they know coming in here. That's right. We're here. We're here. Yeah,
I don't know about all that, but anyway, but we hope you all enjoyed today's episode. Like I said, this was more of a my realm of expertise kind of
that's
thing.
right. That's right.
So I was happy to take the reins on this. It was like, yo, this is something I could talk about for days.
That's
Uh,
right.
but
And you did an excellent job as well, because you know, most of the people I know, they're dead. No, but no, you did an excellent job, and gave me some good information and some people I'm gonna look up.
right, right, and so we hope you all enjoys this week's episode. Just a friendly reminder to make sure you set your clocks an hour back because by the next Sunday is daylight savings. Um, yeah, so you won't see another episode from us until the day after daylight savings starts. So just make sure to set your clocks back for those of you that may be listening later on in the week. Outside of that, just make sure the usual YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, um, share
Leave
it to one other
comment.
share it to one other person. That's all we can really ask for. But yeah, I mean, do you have anything else you need to say? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, until next time, next Monday, we will see you then. But we are out of here. Later, everybody.